S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Shadow of Chernobyl was released 23rd of March in 2007, which means that it's already a little over 10 years old. It's a game that's absolutely full of atmosphere and these organic, emergent narrative moments that ensue through the lack of scripted events, and it's a feature I absolutely love in games. I play these S.T.A.L.K.E.R. franchise games fairly rarely, but when I do, it's a really engrossing event that has always created fond memories for me. Hence I thought I'd make this sort of a loser video to pay tribute to a game that started this amazing trilogy. So sit back and listen, rookie. Let's start off with the grand scale canvas of the game. It's grounded in reality, with all the environments and areas being the distinctly Slavic ruins left behind by the Chernobyl disaster, where the devastation changed the area near the reactors a lot, and I mean a lot. It really does ride on the coattails of a movie by the name of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. from 1979, where a man by the pseudonym S.T.A.L.K.E.R. treks through something called the Zone, where the land itself exhibits weird phenomena, yet people are lured into the area by rumors of an item that grants wishes to anyone that finds it. And the movie in turn borrows from a novel called Roadside Picnic, in which strange anomalies in land and behavior happen after surmised probe-arounds by aliens. The game itself makes really heavy use of themes and plot points presented by the movie, with a good amount of touches from the book itself, but it does really borrow so much from the movie, it's unreal. The game's narrative starts through a trope, a favorite one of mine really, an amnesiac with only one clue to follow. And the way it starts is your rightly presumed dead self falls from the trunk of a thing called a death truck. But contrary to what usually happens, you happen to be alive, and that's a rare thing indeed.
Well, you know the drill. Leave him on
This is a live one.
Bullshit. You're lying.
Let the zone take me if I am.
So of course you're rescued, and you owe a debt of gratitude to the man behind it, who just so happens to have the means to pursue the one goal you have, which would be to hunt down and kill a guy who is called S.T.A.L.K.E.R. It's a task without any sort of description found on your PDA, so you have little to no choice but to help the people out to get towards that eventual goal, and of course along the way the puzzles behind your amnesia, the zone, and the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.s in there start to unravel. On the gamey side of things, it's set in a fairly open world, and while it is small, it makes use of the space it has. There's ruined buildings and old facilities, collapsed tunnels and whatnot, and they really create the atmosphere of an aftermath of a nuclear disaster. Within these areas, you find these organic events where curiously behaving AI sends other S.T.A.L.K.E.R.s here and there to do whatever they like. Oftentimes they end up dead, killed by mutants, and by checking out their PDAs you might find coordinates to their stashes and so on. There's of course the occasional bandit groups, and if you're really unlucky, special kinds of mutants that can spawn very early in the game as well. It's a game that really keeps you on your toes from the very start, and it doesn't hold your hand at all, and I absolutely love it for that. A bit of a tangent here, but I haven't said it in any of my videos earlier, but there's a term I like to use for this unforgiving type of early game where you're giving very little to work with, and you in a way have to build and fight your way to a position where you can handle the events and the dangers ahead in the game. For example, here in the zone, it comes through the fact that you're armed with only a raincoat and a ditty little pistol, and no one around is going to lend you a gun, and you're going to have to fight for it, and when you do find one, it's probably a submachine gun or an old-timey shotgun that's already past its best before date. Couple that with the occasional rare enemy you shouldn't fight, and areas that you can challenge but probably shouldn't, and it creates for me this hobo phase, which is the term I use. I don't like throwing in names of other games in a video that I want to dedicate to this one in particular, but other ones with this tough, lovable hobo face for me would be Ultima Underworld, Original Dark Souls, Dragon's Dogma, and so on. But back to Stalker. First and foremost, it's an FPS game, and this one might take some time getting used to. One-hit kills, even with headshots, are somehow very rare on anything higher than the medium difficulty, but that being said, you can also absorb a ton of hits as well. Armor and these artifacts play a big part as well. Basically, there's an assortment of mutated concrete forms of whatever. Electricity, sludge, jelly, rock things, and so on. When carried on your person, they give benefits, but they also have drawbacks. For example, the Stone Blood artifact gives you health regeneration boost at the cost of overall damage reduction, and this one in particular is pretty bad, so of course you can sell it. And that's one of the main motives of many of the characters in the game. They come in to exploit the zone's quirks, make big money, and then get out. There's also these rumors of the wish-granting artifact mentioned earlier from the movie. Damn, I digress a lot. Yeah, as an FPS game, it's rock solid. The ballistics seem very accurate as far as video games go, and each weapon has a definite learning curve to it. You can also find customizable parts for them, like scopes and grenade launchers. So even if you find a direct upgrade for a gun, you can still go with your weapon foo. You can also carry a pistol on your second quick slot, which is handy if you don't want to waste ammunition punching holes through the smaller enemies. The inventory itself is big enough to carry a handful of guns as well, so it's not uncommon of a strategy to unload one weapon, inventory swap to the next one, and then carry on fighting with that one. If anything, weapon hoarding can be a real problem, but it's also necessary, since the guns can degrade and there is no gunsmith around in the whole game, so you can't repair the items unless you go for an advanced strategy, which is to farm certain artifacts and then abuse certain anomalies, which granted is a fairly big of an, not necessarily an oversight, but I don't agree with the design choice. Oh yeah, then the anomalies as well. You might have just seen the poor critter get sucked up in the air only to be ripped into a bloody pulp, and this area with a frightening air wobble thing going on. Well, these are anomalies and they come in different forms. They're basically... how would you put it? Well, they're just that, anomalies, strange, unnatural things that just happen in these preset areas. Some of them suck you up in the air, some cause these miniature air pressure explosions, and some straight up electrocute the area near them. And of course, there's the occasional nuclear sludge here and there, and areas with heavy radiation, not to mention a brain scorcher later on in the game. Granted, it's not a perfect game at all. Frankly, sometimes it feels unfinished, and most of the time it lacks a lot of polish. But somehow, I'm often drawn to games like that. Again, the same thing was the case with the aforementioned Dogma and Souls. This one feels like there's a lot lost in translation, and the zone works in mysterious ways where you can't really tell if it was the organic AI at work or just an unforgiving and unpolished way of coding. There are quests that require you to protect some people who can end up dead in mysterious ways before you even reach them. There's also this silly oversight that you can find loot containers in well-hidden areas, and instead of being rewarded, they'll be empty until you find a PDA that triggers the loot to spawn. There's a reputation system that barely does anything besides mark whether a group is friendly or hostile to you, despite each character having individual reputation levels. Oh, and another damn segue. Look at these character names the game comes up with. As I said, strange translations and cultural barriers must be at play here. Sadly, I couldn't catch one of the characters with the unlucky surname Spaghetti. These are on the more normal side. with all that being said, I'm having a lot of fun replaying it once again. Man, time really does fly. 10 years! Damn! And yeah, if you haven't played it and what you saw and heard is interesting, just dive into it. The experience is very immersive. You'll forget to eat until the in-game starvation icon kicks in, and once you get into the abandoned, lightless facilities, you'll want to prepare an environment suit and a new pair of pants. 5 out of 5, Gidro's supreme adulations and recommendations. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Good hunting, Stalker.